From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Hannah Mordo, and this is your News 8 Daily for Monday, November 3rd. Lots of bright sunshine out there. Even earlier, daybreak officially was back to 7:15 in the morning. We fell back when it comes to the time over the weekend. So we started out cool outside in the 30s, but the temps are going to get up to the upper 50s, near 60 degrees today. Get ready for a fantastic Monday. Breaking news, police say one of the two teenagers shot on the north side of Indianapolis in broad daylight yesterday has died from their injuries. IMPD gave us the update this morning saying one of the victims of that shooting near 38th and Central Avenue died from their injuries at the hospital. Police say the other teenager is in critical condition, but officers told News 8 yesterday they did not expect either victim to survive. The shooting happened just after 3 Sunday afternoon. Investigators say there was a fight outside of a home before the gunfire. IMPD says officers took 2 people into custody, but so far they have not said how they are involved in the shooting. Wish TV and our parent company, Circle City Broadcasting, are working with community leaders to help curb youth violence through YATVAC. It stands for Youth Alternatives to Violence and Crime. You can find out more information by going to wishtv.com and go to the YATVAC page. Police officers know the scene of a weekend shooting well. Records show officers have had to handle fights at Jovito Ultra Lounge at least 5 times since February 2024. The bar is downtown, Georgia and Meridian. Gunfire happened about 1:30 Sunday morning and left 3 men wounded. Officers tell us they are stable. The shooting prompted a new statement from the police chief. In it, Chris Bailey questions how people are making it through security with guns. Bailey says he'll work with lawmakers to strengthen rules for bars. Colts now, a comeback comes up short in Pittsburgh, doomed too often by interceptions and fumbles. Indianapolis falls to the Steelers. Daniel Jones threw 3 picks and lost 2 on the ground, spoiling several scoring chances. Even with all the miscues, the Colts were never out of it and led in passing, rushing, and receiving, but not in the number that mattered. The final score, 27-20. Team's 4-game winning streak is over as they get set to head overseas. News 8 sports director Anthony Calhoun was in Pittsburgh and talked to the quarterback and the coach.
Well, they say numbers don't lie, and that was definitely the case this afternoon for your Indianapolis Colts against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Colts turned the ball over 6 times this afternoon against Pittsburgh. They also allowed 5 sacks, the most of the season, and penalties after penalties took place here on this football field behind me. No doubt the worst performance by the Colts this season as Pittsburgh takes it 27-20.
Obviously hard to win when you turn it over like we did. Credit to the Steelers and their defense and what they did. Obviously, could have been better for our guys today, moving the football up and down the field. But I thought the fight, obviously at the end, even there at the end, our guys were fighting like crazy. There was no quitting the guys, so I like that. And obviously got to look at it tomorrow, get it cleaned up, and get ready to go for Atlanta.
When you look at any game, turnovers are a key, and then to turn it over as many times as we did today, you're going to have a tough time winning. So obviously that's on me. I got to protect the ball better and make sure we're giving ourselves a chance. I thought we did some good things at times, but just turnovers and some of those things I gotta clean up and make sure we're not hurting ourselves.
And Steelers fans who watched this game this afternoon here in Pittsburgh saw their football team really cause a lot of problems to this Colts offense, and especially Daniel Jones. He had 3 interceptions this afternoon, his worst performance, no doubt, of the season for him. And he also threw the ball 50 times. If you watch NFL, you know that is not the recipe for getting the job done in any NFL game. Next up for the Colts, they get set to take on the Falcons. That game taking place next Sunday over in Germany. Anthony Calhoun, Wish TV and WishTV.com.
Two Indiana schools are in the spotlight as the College Football Playoff Committee gets ready to release its first rankings of the season tomorrow. IU is ranked number 2 again in the AP College Football poll. The undefeated Hoosiers got their 9th win this season with a blowout on the road in Maryland. IU is still ranked behind Ohio State. On Saturday, the Hoosiers are back on the road at Penn State. Notre Dame is back in the top 10 for the first time since week 3 of the season. The Irish jumped 2 spots after this weekend's win over Boston College. Notre Dame hosts Navy on Saturday. Pacers watch, a fan favorite turned foe, makes his Gainbridge Fieldhouse debut in opposing colors tonight. Miles Turner is playing for the Milwaukee Bucks. His return is certain to spark strong responses from fans, fueled in part by the abrupt way Turner left after last season and his recent podcast comments about former teammates. Turner angered many with his suggestion that Tyrese Halliburton talks trash because he knows his teammates will protect him. Turner posted on X that the comment is out of context due to what he called clip farming culture. He said in part, "Me and Hallie went to war together for 3 years and he did nothing but elevate my career." Turner says it's all love on his end. Pacers and the Bucks tip off at 7 tonight at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Politics now. One of Indiana's 2 congressional Democrats is pushing back against the Republican attempt to redraw district lines. Frank Mervan represents Northwest Indiana. News 8's Phil Sanchez talked to him about the efforts targeting his seat.
This is about equal representation and what members of Congress and what I can do as far as a balanced or a checks and balance system for the state of Indiana. I believe in bipartisanship. I believe that middle ground is something that we should seek and not run away from. And if you have an all-red state and an all-blue state, then you're going to accelerate extremism. And so this is about 2 folds. These are very, very, very challenging times for Hoosiers. What I mean by that is it's not fair that working families are seeing skyrocketing utility costs. It's not fair that groceries are going increasing costs at the grocery store. It's not fair that homeowners insurance is going through the roof. These things aren't fair. But the fact of the matter is we're spending time, energy, and capital on a political issue. And why are we doing that? We're doing that because the administration's policies have failed Indiana Hoosiers.
To that point, what is your response to Republicans who say they need to do this in Indiana to counter gerrymandering going on in other states?
Sure. The first, I say this to everybody, is what can't you justify? Because if you look through and you turn the page to the next part of that story, is there are multiple Republican one-sided states. Utah, there are multiple states that have 1 member of Congress or 2 members of Congress that are all red. And so when will it stop? It reminds me of the movie War Games. Someone shoots a nuclear weapon, then the other one, then it keeps continuing. What I'm telling you is there are sound-minded senators, state senators right now that are resisting this. They have faced 2 visits from a vice president and a phone call from a president, but yet they are still saying there's not an appetite for this in the state of Indiana. There are other issues, like I say, the cost of living, affordability, public safety, being able to provide for your family. These are the real issues that are going on.
Barring any abrupt change, the government shutdown will this week become the longest in U.S. history. President Trump is, in a new interview, doubling down on his strategy of refusing to negotiate with Democrats. As Reed Binion reports, the president is also defending his administration's actions on health care and immigration enforcement.
In his first CBS 60 Minutes interview since 2020, President Trump fielded questions on topics from tariffs to immigration to the government shutdown, which now threatens to become the longest shutdown in U.S. history.
Democrats' fault.
As for Democratic lawmakers' demand that Affordable Care Act subsidies be extended before reopening the government, Trump stood firm by his position.
Obamacare is terrible, and we can fix it with the Democrats. All they have to do is let the country open, and we'll fix it.
On immigration, the president was asked if the methods used by ICE have gone too far.
I think they haven't gone far enough because we've been held back by the judges, by the liberal judges that were put in by Biden and by Obama.
Trump also addressed the upcoming Supreme Court oral arguments on whether his tariff policy is legal.
I think it's the most important subject discussed by the Supreme Court in 100 years.
The president asked what happens to his economic plan if the high court rules against him on tariffs.
I think our country will be immeasurably hurt. I think our economy will go to hell.
The wide-ranging interview also covered topics including cost of living, foreign policy challenges, and concerns about the possible use of the military to combat crime in American cities. I'm Reed Binion for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
Let's get to your business headlines now. Jane King starts with breaking news, a deal involving a big pharmaceutical name.
A big deal in healthcare and wellness today. In fact, an almost $50 billion deal, so it is large. Kimberly-Clark is buying Kenvue. Now, Kimberly-Clark is the parent company of Huggies and Kleenex. And Kenvue, best known for being the parent company of Tylenol, which of course has been in the news lately. So those stocks are on the move today, and it's interesting with Tylenol being so much in the news that would be getting bought, but we'll see what kind of process this has to go through in order to get approved. Now, in just a few days, the Supreme Court will start hearing arguments in what President Trump is calling one of the most important cases in the history of our country. The case will consider whether Trump had the legal authority to impose tariffs. Now, a ruling against the president does not mean a sudden cancellation of tariffs, but it could radically reshape Trump's economic strategy. Now, in the meantime, Lending Tree estimates the tariffs will increase holiday costs by a total of about $40 billion. The average American holiday shopper will pay $132 more because of tariffs, according to this survey. And Lending Tree's chief consumer financial analyst says this can have a big impact. People may cut back on gifts or they may take on more debt. Open enrollment for health insurance offered via the Affordable Care Act marketplace started over the weekend in many states, and prospective enrollees will likely see much higher premiums. That's because the subsidies that lower the insurance premiums are still in limbo amid the government shutdown. And Chowhound looked at chicken chains and which ones use the best quality meat. It combines social media and review sites for the list. Jollibee was top. So this is a Filipino chain. They have locations across the U.S. They're known for the Chicken Joy fried chicken, Raising Cane's, and Chick-fil-A, rounding out the top three. Okay, stocks did close higher across the board on Friday. Amazon led things higher, and the Stock Traders Almanac says November is the historically strongest month of the year for the stock market. We are starting positive this morning, at least. Live from the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Jane King. Back to you.
Wish TV is celebrating heroes this month. Today, we have the story of a local woman recovering from addiction and the organization she says helped save her life. News 8's Colin Bailey is highlighting the program, which offers new chances.
Fresh Start through Volunteers of America, and we highlighted one lady, Linda Daniels, who has been battling homelessness since she was 15 years old. Obviously, a lot of substance abuse in between that. She's been in and out of recovery programs, but found a solution, and that was Fresh Start at Volunteers of America. And she has been battling, like I mentioned, substance abuse since she was 15 years old. She says she ended up homeless multiple times because of her addiction, but she then found Volunteers of America's Fresh Start recovery program, and that completely changed her life.
Your sobriety, please reach out. You would be surprised how many people have not had the opportunity to reach out.
Linda Daniels had multiple failed attempts at recovery, but Daniels found the Fresh Start Recovery Center in February of 2025. The Fresh Start Recovery Center provides wraparound support for mothers like Daniels to not only work on their recovery, but to rebuild their lives.
I'm blessed to be alive today from all of those things, and there were certain points in my life where I thought that I was never going to be okay, that I thought that I would never make it, that I was going to die on the streets from, using and just not being able to take care of myself to survive.
The Volunteers of America's program helps with things like addiction treatment, mental health treatment, connection with housing, and much more.
It's a voluntary program, so we really want people who feel like they are ready to come in and go through this program. However, it is not uncommon for us to have people come through the program multiple times. Jennifer Martinez serves as the Vice President of Behavioral Health Operations for Volunteers of America. She says stories like Daniel's is the reason many show up daily to help fight the fight. We really are focused on integrating into the communities we serve, being really good partners, and doing a lot of outreach and engagement with partners and others in the community that are serving the same population of folks. But for Daniels, she says the program changed her life.
It allows her to work on herself, spend time with her kids, and prepare for her third baby.
In my dark times, I've had some dark thoughts, but looking back, everything that has happened with the program and even outside of the program, it happened for a reason, and I am so glad that I took that initiative to take the first step in the door.
The Volunteers of America's Fresh Start Recovery Center has now been operating for 10 years, and for Daniels, February 2026 will be 1 year sober. I'm Colin Bailey for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
This has been your News 8 Daily from Wish TV. I'm Hannah Mordeau. Watch us on Wish TV and WishTV.com.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast, a Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go, connect with Wish TV on Facebook at WishTV.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.